Hello, everybody. Kurt Risch here, and thank you for joining me on One Shepherd. So, today we are continuing our reading of the Old Testament book of Proverbs with the introduction. Everyone knows the value of good advice. Listening to those who are wiser than we are gives us the benefit of their hard-won experience. Growing up, getting along with others, and holding a job all would be impossible without guidance from folks who have been there before. The book of Proverbs gives that kind of help. But the book is more than a collection of tips and tricks. It passes on a core knowledge and experience that God says we must have if we are to live successfully. These proverbs are not merely old sayings that concern people in far-off lands, but universal principles that apply to all people of all times. They speak to modern problems as much as ancient ones because they concern human nature and God's ways. Human nature has not changed since Solomon's time, neither has God's. Only the landscape around us has changed. The author and date. King Solomon wrote many of the Proverbs, more than those which have survived to this day. The title of the book, Proverbs, and two collections of maxims within it, identify him as their author. First Kings confirms this, attributing 3,000 proverbs and more than 1,000 songs to him. In fact, the writer of Kings boasted that Solomon's wisdom exceeded that of all wise men in the East and in Egypt. Solomon's interests in research covered nearly every aspect of knowledge, from zoology and botany to grammar and theology. To think of wisdom in Israel was to think of Solomon, who was granted wisdom by God's gracious gift. Although Solomon was the main writer of the book of Proverbs, some proverbs were written by other writers, and some of Solomon's were not added to the book until after his death. Agur wrote chapter 30, and Lemuel wrote 31, verses 1 to 9. Moreover, it is not clear whether Solomon wrote the first 9 chapters. They may have been contributed by someone else as an introduction to the book. Proverbs 25:1 tells us that a group of assistants to King Hezekiah compiled and added the Proverbs of Solomon contained in chapters 25 through 29. The book of Proverbs as we know it may well have been completed during Hezekiah's time, but we cannot be certain because we have no information about Agur or Lemuel besides their names. Solomon's 375 Proverbs, chapter 10 through 22, appear as a large collection with no particular organization to the whole. In places, a few sentences on one theme appear together, but other sentences on that theme often appear elsewhere as well. We might expect all Proverbs on poverty to be in one section, and all on child-rearing in another, but these and many other topics are interspersed throughout the collection. Sometimes repeated words or sounds are the link between separate sentences, or it may be that the phrases repeat, suggesting a new linking of ideas. In addition to the Proverbs that stand alone at the beginning and ending of the book, sections of extended instruction appear together. These chapters contain some of the same proverbs as the rest of the book, but as units they differ greatly from the main section of Solomon's Proverbs. Unlike the scattered arrangements of Solomon's main section, these chapters develop themes. Purpose and theme. The prologue states the book's purpose and theme. It is to give a course of instruction in wisdom, preparation for life, and the ways of life in God's world. Many topics such as riches, success, and social relations appear in other collections of wisdom literature that have survived from the ancient Middle East, but they are treated differently. Israel's contribution to wisdom literature was to place all wisdom in the context of faith in the Lord. The words, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge," Proverbs 1 verse 7, set the record straight, so to speak. This is the foundation on which all otherwise sayings stand. It is the book of Proverbs' central idea. Fear of the Lord motivates us to obey God's commandments, and obedience to them constitutes true wisdom. Christ in the Scriptures. Although Jesus is not identified by name in chapter 8, verses 22 to 31, it is clear that the writer is describing him. Wisdom, godlike and perfect, is personified. I have been established from the everlasting, from the beginning, before there was ever an earth. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. I was beside him as a master craftsman, and I was daily his delight. Compare that to John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made. This divine wisdom is also the source of biological and spiritual life. It is right and moral, and it is available to all who will receive it. And then we have an outline here, guys. And that's it for the reading of the introduction to the book of Proverbs. Thanks for joining us. May you have a great day, and God bless.